Welcome to the Middlemen of jurors. My case. I am sorry, Mr. President. The sun was half sunk into the stream while viewing from my window as the day grew older into nightfall. When I received the president's letter that evening, the cloud was subdued with the early cast of the fogs of nightfall. Neighbors were returning from work and children were engrossed with their toys. The postmaster beckoned at me to sign off on the package, a letter from the president. I appended my signature on his copy and he rode his motorcycle with a box clinched on the rear seat of my compound. She drove out of my compound. I opened the letter and it was an invitation from the president, from the presidency, on a consultation project to proffer solution to the end bad governance agitation gaining grounds in the country. My mind keyed up into reasoning almost immediately in preparation for a presentation to this effect. I made a quick search into history and uncovered the source materials. My room was cold. A typical epileptic power supply was available today, but the voltage was low, that it made the bulb appear like a lump of red oil hanging up on the ceiling. The air conditions had given up a long time ago, and the fridge was long dead. My wife stumbled on the letter and called me to the sitting room the next morning. "You must not honor this invitation," she said. She stressed every word with the tone of finality. Her face had changed and dripped with venom of hostile rivalry. "You have criticized this government, this administration treacherously. You have granted interviews lampooning this government at their lack of coordination, systems, and method." Then I replied, "What do you mean by that? What makes you feel that this is not a ploy to arrest you?" She yelled. I clenched my fist and dimmed my eyes. I had made up my mind to honor the invitation, and my wife's concern just didn't cut it. She thinks I'm a recalcitrant nincompoop. "I will honor the invitation," I whispered into her ears while I filled my wine glass with more alcohol. She pushed me aside and headed to her room. I packed my notes, took my laptop and headed to the study. Just at the peak of my intense revision, my wife came to the study to inform me that she had called her Reverend Father to pray and conduct deliverance for me before I step out for this assignment at the presidency. "You should have told me," I spluttered. She gulped and hissed viciously. "Come back here," I screeched. She wiggled her hips out of my sight, and then I bowed again. Why do we need a Reverend Father for deliverance or a showdown on a matter as simple as this? This isn't funny, I resorted. Can't a man walk through his own life without the intervention of some priests, or just live in solitary purpose without the overburdening threat of societal pressure? This is intrusive and ludicrous, I must say. It is not just a priest we need in this matter. We need to fast and pray before you honor this invitation on Wednesday. It is important. The world is wicked, my wife insisted. I felt I had no need to fast over the issue, and maybe there was no need to fast at all. Let's not argue any further. I will go to the presidency, make my presentation, and come up with action plans and report that will never be used. My wife nodded. I sat on the sofa to ponder over my wife's petition. I got drained at the thought of a country's situation, not just the end bad governance agitation in the country, but the herdsmen's killing in the North Central and the South region, Boko Haram in the Northeast, bandit in the Northwest, ASU strike, the doctors' warning strike, kidnapping in the country, ritual killings, inequalities at the Unity School admission process, a dysfunctional police force, and a rather corrupt system that stifles national transformation. I thought there is a way out of this chaos. I reasoned that in our very eyes, corruption has rendered us prostrate. I vow to inspire hope with my presentation at the presidency. My wife dragged me to the prayer session. I tried to put up my best behavior, but somewhere in my mind, I felt the solution to the country's problem is in prayers. The Reverend Father beseeched the heavens with the prayer of faith and asked us to repeat after him. My wife screamed violently as she repeated after the man of God. They both roared, making supplication for my safety. I watched the glistening drop of sweat trickling down the face and the calisthenic display of acrobatics to win God to this side of the divide. The priest sprinkled holy water on me and prayed that all the good things of life must follow me. And I shouted, Amen. Money falls on me. I yelled. My wife gave me a fierce look. So I covered my mouth with my hands while my eyes rolled over my head. I got to the presidency amidst tight security checks. My man, show your invitation. That is, one of the soldiers roared. I brought out my appointment slip. He looked at my face and smacked his lips. Let me see your identity card, he said. I reached out for it and gave it to him. He lowered his gun, adjusted his belt, sneezed, and rent my clothes with tons of saliva. I was embarrassed at his lack of finesse. There is no courtesy, no apology. I wonder just how he got the job. He was a complete misfit for the job, a classic billboard of our nation's well-documented preference for mediocrity in recruitment processes. The villa was glossy. Carefully nurtured flowers and well-mopped field gave the site an exquisite royal outlook. The foyer is textured with gorgeous interlocking tiles. The administrative block had a design of modern architectural luxury. It is a perfect contrast to the reality of the average Joe living somewhere out there. I was led to the president's block on the third floor of an imposing twin three-story building. The receptionist put a call to the office of the president and I was let in. The president sat on a chair facing a huge mahogany table with a well-starched cap on his head. Good morning, Your Excellency, I greeted. The president ignored me. Mr. President, you invited me here, and I think the least you could do is to answer me when I greeted you. How are you? The president replied. I am fine, except that things could be better. How do you mean? I mean, this country could be better if the right policies were deployed to fast-track development. That is why we invited you here. You have criticized us profusely. Now that we want to use your solution, specifically on the end bad governance agitation in the country. What do you say? Mr. President, you brought me in late. When you said the subsidy was gone, what were you thinking? Have you been president before? Have you studied the handover note? Have you led 200 million people before? What were you thinking exactly? The president frowned. Will you shut up? I won't shut up, Mr. President. I must point out your errors. During the end bad governance protests, you addressed the nation, but you didn't address the issue. put forward by the people as a reason for the protests. Is that how to lead? As if that was not enough. You ordered the arrests and prosecution of 240 protesters across the country. Thereafter, you have been using the DSS and the police to clamp down on journalists and dissent voices. Is this what you call democracy? You were a protester yourself in the days of yore. Why are you working against, what you once believed in the past? Mr. President, you took an oath to uphold the Constitution of this country. Listen, or else I will throw you out of this place. You are here to provide solution and not to reenact the past. Mr. President, we need the past to construct the future. The future is formed based on our actions and inactions of the past. The president looked at me fiercely and yelled at me. You must be mad. No, Mr. President, I'm not mad. Let me tell you the fact. No, you cannot tell me anything again. He replied angrily. With a snap of a finger, Mr. President called the security, who rushed towards me, hitting me with their guns and forcing me into my knees. My laptop fell and scattered on the floor with my notes, and the villa official photojournalist began to take pictures. Within seconds, they had placed a pistol on top of my laptop and notes and accused me of coming into the villa with weapon to harm the president. I didn't come with a gun, I swore. Agitated and aghast, the security officials said I did. They made a proclamation and called me a terrorist, bundled me out of the villa like a criminal, and threw me outside the gate. I continued to swear that I was and would never be a terrorist, and that I did not come with a gun. I was saying this and yelling when my wife caught in and said, "Which gun? Who are you talking to?" She said. Then I woke up. My verdict: protest is not treasonable felony. I shall go to Rabbi again.
Well, very interesting, and all true. Actually delivered a very strong, poignant message. And I like the way it ended. It reminded me of what the U.S. Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, said yesterday, when he was referring to the fatal shooting of an American protester by Israeli forces in one of the occupied territories. He said protest is not a crime. That protesters should not be shot. Protesters don't deserve to be shot. And that it is wrong to criminalize protests. And I said, I'm looking forward to when this memo will get to Nigeria. And I know it will get to Nigeria very, very soon.
You think they don't know?
Yes. No, but getting to Nigeria, that was how Abacha started.
Because we don't have lawyers in government enough to tell them that protest.
That was how Abacha, I'm talking about the diplomatic pressure. That was how Abacha started. Until, ambassadors started granting interviews. I remember one interview I did with the then South African High Commissioner.
The Pope came to beg Abacha not to kill Ogoni 9. He hung them.
And then he said many things in 1996. Then now when the Pope came, if you remember, not long after, that set into motion certain things that within a month, Abacha was out. Remember, Abacha met with Yasser Arafat, then president of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, and some other things. So what I'm just saying is that, you see, the world, there's a way the global system works. When the international community, led by the US, makes a general statement, just throws out a statement, watch it. Very soon it will cascade. Very soon it will cascade to relevant state parties, and then from there, certain actions will start taking place.
Yeah, but one can only hope that the case that the jury from Rabba has brought on the table resonates and reverberates, because frankly,
With who?
with those in power, with Mr. President,
Do they hear you?
because apparently there's a debt. Yes,
They don't.
there's a debt. There appears to be a serious dearth of truth. Okay, 1 year later, if you
Our brother Ngelali had had enough.
when you look
So
at
they sacked him and he told us he
when you
resigned.
look at the whole amount of appointees, when you look at the whole amount of appointees the president has put in place, you think that it will check government into serious action.
Are they together?
But there's nothing.
The appointments are
They're not
compensation.
together.
Everybody come and collect your share of the national
Those who
cake.
know will tell that the amount of infighting in government is something else. And so this president has to sit up.
Shebi we were laughing at Ngelali and Bayo Onanuga. Now Ngelali has gone. Bayo
But I
Onanuga
still
is the
believe-
one.
Yeah, but I still feel
releasing
that a
speeches.
president who means well, who wants to achieve tangible things, will borrow from the example of Reagan and Clinton.
Is he aware?
There was a time when Clinton had his policies written for him by a Republican whom nobody knew. The man would sneak up in the night, go to his residence, and help to write his policies. So whenever Clinton took the policy to Congress, it resonated because of the majority of the Republicans.
States liking him to Ronaldo.
Hold on, in fact, Reagan had Reagan Democrats because he had bipartisan appeal. That's where when a leader means to do well, okay, he will look for a way to do well.
But this president has also brought in
So I don't.
This president also brought in opposition. Wike is opposition.
So what
you say? That one is just a mole.
Wike is no position.
It's just a mole in PDP.
No,
Now,
given what you have
I understand.
after the presidential debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump, APC stalwarts, aides, minions were analyzing how Kamala flogged Donald Trump. I was saying, look at you people.
Did she?
Look at you. Just look at whoever won the debate. Your own candidate. You told us that you did not need to come and tell everybody his ideas.
More of theories now. She wasn't
So
practical.
that's what I'm saying.
The point I'm even driving at is the people who are analyzing presidential debate.
Yes.
Their own candidates. They told us that it was not necessary for him to come and share his ideas. But now you can come and tell us who won one debate.
No, but he had already shared his ideas.
When they went to Chatham,
That's where I'm going.
He was sharing his ideas.
and I asked that question, I will point to
Who was he sharing the ideas? Or he was sharing the questions?
I was sharing the question.
Saying that is the Donald Trump of Nigeria. And I said, you see, the problem with you people is that too often you bring trouble to yourselves.
Upon yourself.
Unintended
Is he still talking? Because there is a case against him.
the issue that, and you are now talking on Donald Trump. If Donald Trump wins and they refer him to this statement and he decides to show you why he's Donald Trump, you see too often.
I have a hashtag on X, lifeless, and I took it from President Trump when he called our president who came visiting lifeless.
Yeah, but
The point is, it is not criminal to protest. So that you are holding on to end bad governance protesters or hashtag NSAS protesters is because you are a dictator in civilian clothing. In fact,
25 years.
in fact, this president, I'm not sure that he got into the position he is in because he sold himself to us. Anyway, like we mentioned earlier, he didn't come to any debate. He didn't tell us any ideas. The election results tomorrow is still very controversial. Anyway, but the people who answered questions for him in Chatham House are wise enough. If he's listening and has a listening ear, to tell him that, Oga, you are now behaving like the despots that we said we fought against in the Nadeko days. But again, I do not think that he's aware. I do not expect anything of President Tinubu, to be very honest with you.
If you look at the American,
So I'm not shocked.
We can take it one step backward, just a little shuttle in history. Biden had a debate with Trump, and it became obvious that this man shouldn't run for office again. He insisted. 31 House Democrats came together to Mr. President, you have to step down.
Because he couldn't coordinate, he didn't remember what he was even saying.
One debate night was enough. Now,
So if Tinubu had gone to debate, we would have known that he shouldn't be running for presidency.
Our president, even without debate, said things that
Blah 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 blah.
that
National anthem, you're standing like this with his staff.
and yet we have an elite. And yet
Is it for Agbado? Is it for Ewa?
The way our country runs and the way the Tinubu had set the agenda, even if he wasn't around for that election, he would have won.
Right? That's what I was going, because we
yeah,
had an elite.
I mean, Buhari.
Just pin
Yes.
the neck. Just pin
Yes.
the neck down. You have won now.
Yes.
Yes.
Because
True.
the
True.
people don't even have.
The servers shut down on the day of
They
election.
are not part of the conversation at all.
Yeah, they don't even have the guts to
Somebody
see
won an
INEC.
And then it was declared at 4 a.m. while the rest of us were asleep.
We
Oh,
should-
but let's go home.
From today, we should see INEC as a contestant.
In the election.
Yes.
Amechi said it.
Have you heard Nigerian police in the Edo
The
election?
election was them versus INEC.
Have you listened to Nigerian police officers in Edo?
Oh, come on.
So it seems like they are.
They are the power atlas, actually.
Yes, now they are already
One
warning.
of them even wore a spy police uniform. I was threatening the governor and obviously candidate. And I said,
Imagine.
very good. They are making it easy.
For the man to cost of victim.
Yes, yes.
Because he all he needs to do is to play the victim.
Because
And
if
then,
you have a quality candidate,
But then I
you
ask
don't
the
need to do
question.
all of these things. Pick some PDP chieftains, take them to Abuja and arraign them. You see, this IG, I have a word for
Jure
him. And
Emeka.
if he's watching this, I have to let him know one thing. That IGs who behave like him, in fact, they cannot come out to public functions.
Anymore.
Nobody invites them to any functions. Nobody records.
Have you seen President Buhari anywhere
from them?
recently?
Yes, nobody's inviting Buhari to anywhere.
For what?
That should
What's
tell
his
you that
capacity?
there is life after
power.
power, and that is when you now know how lonely retirement can be. So he should stop all these things.
Juro
Doing all of that.
Emeka.
He should stop it. There's enough time for him right now.
My final
They
word.
don't think about
My
this
final
thing.
word on this
Power.
case is
They
to
don't.
ask us jurors on this table, why are we still having elections with the enabling electoral laws after what happened in 2023? Are we doing the same thing and expecting different results? Aren't we a foolish people?
I can only say this, when Balagi had been assassinated and the late Josiah Esho went to his condolence register, he wrote only 3 words. He said, God save Nigeria.
That's all on the Middlemen for today. It's been more than a great pleasure having come along on the ride. But you can be part of it all by leaving your comments in the section and subscribing to our page here on YouTube as elsewhere on Enterprise TV 7. Till we come your way again, I am Hero Evans Ufeli. Bye for now.